Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you on the live stream tonight. Hope you had a great week. Excited to paint with you yet again this evening. If you've been here before, you know how this works. No matter where you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, wherever, you can comment in the comments and join the conversation this evening. This is very laid back. It's open house, so you can pop in, pop out, and see what we're doing this evening. Good to see some friends here. Lola, welcome. Always good to see you. I am going to get my trusty apron on, protect my clothes from the paint. Hope everybody had a great week. It's starting to feel like fall here in the northern Black Hills. Actually, fall beginning of winter. It's starting to cool down into the 20s at night on occasion, and but still nice and balmy during the day. 50s, 40s, 60s, jumping up and down. So nice weather. Yeah, so great week. I've been dog sitting this last week. So I'm actually taking a break from the dogs. I ran home to do this live stream, and then I'll be back taking care of some dogs for a friend of mine. So that's been a nice kind of break in the routine. But I haven't had a lot of time in the studio this week. So excited to get painting this evening. This evening we're going to do this beautiful photo that I've had for several months in my kind of backlog of photos that I want to paint. This was such a nice photo that I wanted to wait until I had a better understanding of not only the composition but the technique it would take to paint this painting. So I feel a little more prepared now, I guess, to tackle this. So we're going to try and see what we can come up with. You can see behind me that I have kind of drawn out or kind of sketched out with just some burnt sienna the basic composition of the painting. So let's jump right in. Let me also put up here my palette so that you can see what I am doing there. I'll put a little more light on there, although it doesn't always show the way it should. All right, let me pull you in closer so you can see exactly what I'm doing on the canvas panel. So you can kind of look over my shoulder, as it were. Welcome, welcome. I see a few more people coming into the live stream. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining. Always nice to have friends and acquaintances and general public and whoever pops in to the live stream. All right. So tonight, what I'm going to start with, I think the first thing I want to kind of do is, of course, block in some of this. Block in some of this, the major sections so we can get kind of chunks of our composition in. So let's do a little bit of that. I'm going to put some, actually I'll hold off on, let me do some ultramarine blue on the palette, and we'll do some, probably some phthalo green and mostly sap green. I'm going to do this foreground. Usually I start in the back, but I wanted to kind of get the big chunks in, so I'm going to start in the foreground with the kind of big areas we have there. Let me take some put some little yellow ochre. Yeah, I think that's good to start. Okay, so what we're going to do is come in here to the foreground, this area that's kind of at the bottom of the canvas, and we're going to put some of this in. So let's do this kind of yellow. Oh, actually, and I'm going to need some white, so we'll do white. I'll need plenty of white as we get going. So that is good. All right. I'm going to put this bright yellow that's in the background, but I kind of want to tone it down a little bit, bring it right in here. This yellow, put in a first layer just to cover and kind of get the composition started. So the yellow doesn't cover very well just because it's so translucent. So we'll do several layers of that, but let's put some yellow in, at least get it started here. And we can bring it pretty much all the way down, since the green will clearly cover it. And we're just doing some very easy or very basic block-ins right now. So take some of the green with the yellow. We'll mix I want kind of a medium tone. Okay, that's gonna have to, I forgot that rattle last time. All right, we'll take a little bit of blue, a little bit of green. So basically I've created a phthalo green, but let's bring some brown in. That might be too dark, but we'll bring some more sap green in. What I'm intending to do down here is put in the medium green so that we have a foundation for the green, and then we'll be able to put the detail over the top. But I want kind of a pretty dark green, because then when I come in with some lighter green, then I'll have some of the highlights will be easier. So we'll just do kind of broad strokes here, literally broad strokes, just kind of blend up into this. Okay. So we have the basic idea. We'll might as well just kind of put this in there. There's a kind of over here. All right. Now there is a very clear, I'm going to put this large brush. I have been in the past trying to really start with larger brushes, especially for block-in. But I'm going to set that to the side for a minute. And I'm going to come in because there is a pretty specific over the horizon, there's kind of a little ridge of hills in the background. I'm going to take blue. By taking blue and brown, we take the green out, because the closer it is to us, the more green we're going to see. So we need actually kind of a grayish color that will almost blend with our sky in the background. And a little bit of this green, we'll just take a little bit of that. So we'll mix that. Then we're going to come over here and try to put that in. We'll see. Oh, I mixed, I think, too well. It's not spreading easily. All right. That didn't quite do what I wanted it to, but it definitely gives me a good horizon line to work with. So that works. Okay. Now we want to go back to kind of traditional block in, but I think I'm going to use this filbert brush that's about a 1/2 inch or so filbert, and we want to now block in the, actually maybe I won't, maybe I'll use the larger brush, use my 1-inch flat brush. We want to start blocking in dark spaces of cloud. So this is going to be a similar color. It's going to be the ultramarine blue and then the sienna, either raw or burnt sienna. I'm kind of mixing both. Yeah. And give us kind of the white will give us a little gray. I may have taken that way too light, so we'll darken it down again. All right, let's just get some on the paper or on the canvas and see what we see. So the darkest spots, oh, that'll work, are like right in here. Some dark clouds on this side. There's some dark right in here. Right now, I'm not worried at all really about the shape. I mean, I'm worried about the shape, not so much the color. This is just all going to be kind of dark because the light is coming from this side behind the clouds. So we're going to keep that in mind as we kind of block these in. There's some dark up here. It's pretty dark all the way out here. There's a little bit of dark over here. Some more over here. Just get that on. This is, we'll lighten just a tad over here. We want to come in here. Just to give the, basically the composition. To get it all set in. Do just a little bit of background color. Bring this up quite a bit with the blue still. A little brown. Can start to see if it's working. Just getting some good And then what we do is we go higher in the clouds. The highlight from down below becomes the shadow from up above. So these lighter areas then up here become shadow areas because it's going to be so much brighter over here, if that makes sense. So we'll put some of those in just to kind of see, make sure we have it all coming together. Little by little, then we start to get some depth in the clouds without having to do a lot of work. And remember, this is really just the block-in, so it's just the start. We will shape these things and reshape them and as we go. And as we go, we will be adjusting these values for sure. But right in here is kind of the lightest area. Then there's some kind of, right in here is really light. So we'll just kind of put that in. Then, so what we'll do next, once we kind of get these clouds blocked in, is we will go in with some blue. And so we'll have to come in and paint these clouds again, but we get the basic kind of shapes and feel of the clouds and where the light is hitting, because that's the dramatic part of this, right? It is the what hits is the sky, the kind of this either post or pre storm clouds. That's what makes this painting work. Okay, so you can see the clouds start to come in, and Hey, Bob G. Good to see you. You can see roughly kind of the context of the skies start to come in. So now I'm going to take a little cerulean blue, which is a good sky color, with some phthalo blue. That can give us, if we have any kind of, we don't really have dark spots in this sky, but I dropped some paint. So, excuse me. So, all right. So we're going to come in with the sky. Let's take this cerulean blue, a little white, just to de-blue it. Then we'll take this dark blue, because we want some really good contrast up here at the right-hand side of this our sky. That'll give us some real good contrast with the clouds. Right now we're really just covering canvas. Come back in and really make this work. Okay. A little bit darker as we come up into this area. I'm just kind of doing swipey clouds. All right. I think we got the sky mostly in. And we have clouds. So we have the basic gist of what we're going for, right? Okay, so now let's go back to another part of the painting, which is the foreground. And let's see if we can put in some areas or some detail work into this foreground. So, I'm pleased with where we are right now. Let me step back just a little bit. Not bad. Usually I try to get our first block in done about a half hour in, so we're doing pretty good. Okay, now let's come into this foreground. I'll kind of pull this down and as best I can put you in front of the foreground. So I want to come in and start doing some of this work. I think I need to do some, like a little bit, like another layer of kind of dark green. So let's bring some sap green and some of that umber and phthalo green so that we get kind of a really dark cover into the green. We want, I think it's a little, it's almost a little too green. I really need some more brown. Yeah, something like that. Okay. This will allow me to come back later with some light green highlights and really lay those on. And then you'll be able to see the difference with the contrast of the dark underneath. Okay. So we got the green, another green laid in, kind of dark. I want to do the same with the yellow. Let me bring in the yellow ochre again. I think we'll take a little brown. I'm kind of blending this yellow down into the green a little bit so we don't get, so we soften some of those lines out. This is really a rather brown yellow. Eventually we'll come back with really light, much lighter. Okay, so we got some there. Now, take it all the way to the horizon. Okay, now there is a want to, I think, take that, put in the horizon line again. Okay, I'm just kind of rearranging my workspace. I really need a stand to hang my paints up. I said that before, I know. All right. Hey there, Ethan. Thank you. Thanks for popping in. Thanks, Lola. All right. Now, what I want to do is take the, like, refine the horizon. So I'm taking the brown and the blue again and make that kind of dark color that's in the horizon line of those distant hills. And I want to take just a tad of white. Lighten it up just a little bit. Okay, now we will come in here, put those in, those hills. We need fairly stark contrast against the sky. So we want that good, solid, kind of dark color. Okay, I'm gonna have to let that dry because that's not. Just have to let it go. There we go. All right. Now, so we have a good start with the horizon. Now I want to come back to, this is still drying here, so I don't want to really touch that again. But I do want to now come back to the sky, which should be pretty dry and start refining some of this. So we'll take kind of that same mixture with the brown and the blue. I need a little more. We don't want it that same like chroma. We don't want it the same darkness, but we want the same color, just a lighter value. So we'll bring some white in just to raise the value a bit. Now let's see what this does for us, because on the plate it looks pretty good. We'll take this up here. Okay. That going on is too, for me, it's too gray. So I need a little more blue. Because I just want a very dull blue. I don't want gray. So come in here. We'll start to just give us some, I think I need a little more. I want a little more purple blue in this, as opposed to green blue. I want a little more red blue, I should say. Let's see if that will give us kind of what I'm going for. And then comes up into here. Let's kind of see if we can give these, because we need layers in here. We're basically just going back and forth doing what we did at the beginning, and we'll just keep doing this in various layers until we get it exactly like we want it. And that's what with, if you remember last week with, I was saying with acrylic paints, if we keep doing layers, then we get a really nice finish in the long run. But we just have to be patient and, you know, do what it takes. Just a little bit lighter, come in here. I want it lighter than up above, but I want it to contrast with what's above it. So we'll do that. Yeah, we'll just bring a little bit of white, raise this up, and we come in here. So it's just right against that. All right, it's starting to give us the same feel as the original or the reference photo. So that's a good sign. I do want to do a little bit, since it's working, I want to take a little bit into the upper clouds. Do the same thing. We'll just mix this in a little bit. Make it really mixed. I can tell my air is really dry in here. I don't have a humidifier up in my upper. Oh, that's really dark, isn't it? So we'll bring, you never know till you get it on the canvas. What looks right on the palette doesn't necessarily always look right once you get it up on the canvas, because it all depends on what's around it, how light or dark it looks. This color will look totally different there than it will down here because of what's around it. So that's what we constantly have to be comparing. And this grayish blue up here next to this white looks really dark, or lighter gray, looks really dark. But then when you go out into the blue, it doesn't look near as dark. Excuse me, I'm sneezing in y'all's ears. More layers we get on, the better it will look. So we're just going to do and this just dries up so quick, as fast as I can mix it almost. And if you notice, I'm going back, I haven't said a lot, but I'm going back and forth between lights and highlights and adjusting those as I go. So I'm putting a light gray on the edge of these clouds to kind of show me, so I can kind of keep in my mind where the light's hitting, even though this isn't very, it's still quite a dark gray on these light sides. Then when I come in with some real highlights, it will hopefully really bounce out at these, will really stand out in these clouds. So that's kind of the thought process I'm in right now. All right, what do y'all think? Seems like we are getting there little by little. Okay. Now I want to go back to the, I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm not sure if I can. I want to go back to the sky. I may have gone too far in the clouds, which means I'll have to, thank you. This just means that I'll have to really go back to kind of, yeah. I wanted kind of a more, this is giving me a, I wanted that more kind of a, it's not showing up, it's looking really still cerulean on your screen, but hey, Mom and Dad, welcome. Still showing up very cerulean on your screen, but it's darkening it here. So I want to, that's what I wanted, was more of a little bit darker blue. Not as not quite as bright. I want a good solid blue that for the clouds to stand out against. So it needs to be dark enough that because this focal point is really important to the success of the painting. So that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I really need it to I don't know if I'm actually making this better or worse, but good thing is we can always put more layers over it and redo it. So that's the deal. Okay. Generally, we're getting there. Now, I think we go back to the foreground a little bit. Let me just kind of step back and take a look at this. See what's not working. Okay. I just noticed I say okay a lot, don't I? I think that's my dead language when I'm trying to think instead of just sitting back and thinking. And I almost said okay. So let's see if we can come in and put some of these highlights in the... I have a feeling it's really going to help. Where's my brush? Where's the brush? Where's the brush? Oh, there it is. With this yellow, okay, so I did a yellow ochre, and then let me put this cad yellow hue out. I want to come in and I think do a little work on this. Let's see if I can come in just right here. I don't know if you can all, can't really zoom in my camera, so coming in and trying to put in some highlight where this is, so we'll have some difference in the, and I'm using pretty much straight yellow ochre, which is still pretty brown. And that gives us quite a ways to go as we pull in our highlights. We'll just have to do a lot of layers because this, because the yellow is so translucent that everything below it shows through. So you know what would be interesting? Paint one of your first paintings again, see how far your skills have progressed. You actually have read my mind, Lola. One of the first paintings I did was Spearfish Falls, which actually, let's take a little trip down memory lane. Let me just change my, so see that painting up on the wall right there? That is Spearfish Falls here in the Black Hills. I also, one of my early ones is over there, which is Roughlock Falls, which is, both of those are in Spearfish Canyon, just about, let me actually talk to you. Those are in Spearfish Canyon here, just about 20 minutes from my house. And so I've actually been thinking about maybe in the spring doing those again. I'd like to go out to Spearfish Falls and do some plein air painting if I can figure out how to make it work. Once it warms up, I'd like to paint that, but I'd like to paint it from life. So yeah, I love that idea and I'm working on it. Just not sure. I may go back and paint some of the other ones I've done. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it would be really interesting to see, you know, how my growth has progressed, especially in the approach to the subject matter. So that's on my mind for sure. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Great idea. Because it's actually, I mean, whoops. That's one of the reasons it took me so long to try this one, because I just didn't feel like my skills were at the level I wanted them to be. Where, I mean, there's still things that I wish I could do, or that I wish were more, that I was better at. But so, I mean, just even so far into this painting so far, I'm pretty happy with how it's coming along. And I was able to, you know, say, okay, this is how I'm going to approach this. And I kind of knew the game plan. I knew how to set up a game plan for doing something like this. So yeah, I think it'd be fun to paint some things that I have done before. this blue, because I think those trees are going to go right in here, but they need to sit kind of down into the yellow. So I think that's going to be where those trees are. So I'm just trying to kind of carve out the landscape a little bit with a hint of highlights. Then I'm going to try, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to try to come in then with some detail brushes and do some fine detail work in the foreground. But we will see how that actually pans out. Honestly, it wouldn't make me sad if it's just as it is with just broad stripes. It would still, because the main focus is the sky, it would still give us that feeling, wouldn't it? Because it's already coming through. Like when I look at it on the screen, I can already see like, oh, that's, you know, obviously in the picture you can see individual stalks of grass or whatever this field is that goldenrod's colors, but okay, that gives us an idea. Now I'm going to take the same brush. I'm going to take a little brown and sap green to create a very dark green. I'm going to put in the suggestion of these trees. I think now we can do that. So let's kind of choose where these trees are going to sit. So there's the one over here that's kind of up on the edge. I'm just kind of dabbing my brush to give me the appearance of kind of some foliage back here because it actually sits along. And there's a tree kind of there. Then maybe one right in there. Some bushes that actually there. Okay. Now, let's say there's one right in here. Now, let's do this. Maybe too wet still, but we'll see. You want to come in? It'll give us the idea. Just some highlights on that left side to show the sun is shining there. There, a little bit. You kind of see the, I'll hold this down a little bit closer so you can kind of see, basically just put dots on there, but it gives the impression of some highlights. So that's all I did there. So very little or very few paint strokes, and you can just suggest. Hey there, Michael. Hope your week is going well. Work is back in process. Okay, so I feel really good with where we are kind of starting at, but now I think I want to continue into this foreground, into the area where we are here, and start putting in some of this detail in the green. So I'm going to use kind of the same, I'm going to see which brush works best. Kind of the same color, but I have a couple of brushes. I have kind of a rake brush, which I don't know if you can see that, but it's like basically it has kind of some of the bristles cut out so that it kind of, there you can see it better, I think. And then this is actually a brush that's kind of a stipple brush that's cut at different lengths as well. Not sure which would work best for this kind of work, but let me just try it and see what happens. So I'm going to take some of this green that we've been mixing, green, and I'm bringing in some yellow ochre. So let me kind of just see the kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but the kind of strokes it makes kind of a, so let's see how that does. If we just real lightly come in here, does it lighten up this area? We don't want to do too much because we want the dark as well. Like we want the dark parts to show through. But there is definitely kind of a lighter area right in here. So let me see. Now let me take this. I can do kind of these strokes with the to mimic the grass a little bit with the kind of that rake brush. I don't know what it's really called, but that's what I'm calling it. Okay, let me, because I can do kind of, oh, that's too much, it's not, it needs to be really thin, but I don't want, I just want texture. I don't want big blobs, but that's harder, easier said than done. I want some kind of the feeling of the grass. That might work. Just has to be really super thin and really light brush strokes. Like can't hardly touch the canvas at all. Because I just want that texture to show through periodically. Okay, well, that did what it's going to do. So let's come back with this. See if I can use the stipple brush to kind of give us some. Yeah, I think this is it. And I'm just turning the brush all different directions like this, just so I don't get a uniform kind of pattern. It's really hard to do an organic pattern. And in a few places, I'm just putting a little bit of a whiter few splotches, just because it's closer to the it's real easy to go overboard. Okay, now just doing a bunch of different textured Right along the edge, I'm doing some really bright yellow to try to indicate the overlap of the green and the yellow, that there's some yellow. I don't know if that's going to render, but a little, kind of. Doesn't look too bad, does it? Looks worse in, looks worse in up close, but I think we can, I can work with it. Yeah, I'm not unpleased with this at all as it's coming together. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. I am not disappointed so far. Now we have about, well, a few minutes because I don't want to go, I don't think I want to go a full 2 hours tonight. But, yeah, I'm starting to like how this is turning out. Now, let's see what we can do with not sure which, if we go back to the sky, wonder if we can take a little, actually, wonder if I can take the edge of, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to take this fairly large fan brush, and it's funny because it focuses on my hand, not the brush. And see if I can do some of this finer cloud work. Yeah, let's just see if we can do a little bit of this, little bit, and then we'll call this first sitting a wrap. Let me take some white, a little bit of yellow. Oh, that's way too yellow. Yeah, that's going to be way too yellow, I think, because we need some, well, maybe if I take a little, I don't know, just a little brown. Oh, that's way too watery now. Take some. No, then it's, well, I am just making a mess trying to blend these colors. Okay, let's try again. Or mix these colors. Let's try again with white and just like the barest hint of, I don't know how to do this. There's just a barest hint of red, but red is so, it's like yellow, like take one little bit and it's just ridiculous. Well, maybe that'll work. Okay, let's take this, see if we can start. I don't know if we can do it, but No, I don't like that. I think I'm going to go back to my trusty old stand-in. My filbert brush. Although I think it's a little big for what I'm trying to do. But we'll see. Remember when I started y'all back in, in the summer, last summer, not this past summer, and I would complain because I was so frustrated because I couldn't figure out clouds. I'm still learning. Like, I'm constantly trying to get, eventually I want to get to a place where my clouds look really like I just know how to, clouds are just one of the things that I can do well. But these are a lot better than some that I've done in the past, believe me. What I've learned about clouds is that often it is the contrast. As a new painter, I went in to paint clouds white, but you'll notice tonight I started with the darkest grays because I've learned that clouds are most effective when you can see the contrast around the highlights. But had to learn that. And I'm still figuring out how to do that effectively. So I want to get the shape of these in by the end of this session, just so that I really feel good about where the clouds are going. So I mixed a little red and what is it, like some red and some white and green, and I'm putting some of these lower layer clouds in. It looks more white down here, but I just want to increase the contrast around these, particularly around these trees. But see how it brightens that up when you have some gray layers around, and then all of a sudden you get kind of that striated appearance. Anyway, we'll bring some of this out really lightly just to emphasize the layers here. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, this is a really rough painting. It looks fairly nice. Oh, Heather, hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for popping in. Thanks, Lola. I appreciate it. You know how hard these things are. But we're starting to get there. I'm really happy with, I'm going to pull y'all back a little bit and pull you up. Say hi to you. This easel, or this thing, it's kind of wonky. But, all right. So here is what we have so far. Let's see. Whoops. So we have this pretty good, I think. A good start, at least. At a distance, it looks pretty good. I'm trying to see. Oh no, that is on the painting. It looked like there was a shadow coming through there, but that is actually the gray on the painting. So we're getting there. What this needs, if I hold it up, you can see how unfinished it looks when it's real close. But it is getting there. It's definitely, you can definitely tell what it is. You can see the reference, how it comes across. And so I'm really pleased with how that's coming. Basically what I need to do now is a lot of that just further refining of the clouds, blending the colors in, the lights, the darks, without losing the contrast in the values and the colors. I may do some more detailed work around the trees as well as the foreground of the fields, but that would be very tedious. Like, that's probably taking some of these liner brushes and really getting in there and almost drawing on some of the detail. But I think some of those details are what is going to refine it and really make it something unique and something interesting. So that's kind of the intent. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to all of you for joining me this week. This was a little bit shorter than normal, but not much. It's about 10 till. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great week. I will look forward to seeing you next Monday here on the live stream again. Yeah, have a great one, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks, Bob G. It was good to see you, Lola, Mom and Dad, Heather, everybody who stopped in. If you're still on, glad to have you. Have a great night, everybody.